Verse 14, God said to Moses, I am who I am. And he said, say this to the people of Israel, I am has sent me to you. May God bless this word in our midst this morning. This is, maybe even in reading it it just seems so oversimplistic. It seems maybe even grammatically incorrect. It seems like a strange verse or name of himself to give. I am is not a name, that's a statement. It's seemingly an incomplete statement. We don't see a verb. Except that, in saying I am, there's subject, there's predicate in the sentence. He's saying I am. And his am is not a statement relying upon something else to further predicate or modify what he is. He's not saying I am something, as if there's something out there by which you can denote, qualify, condition, or explain me. I simply am, and he says in the first instance, who I am, or what I am. That is the only measuring stick you can use to measure and then define God is God. He is self-determining. He is self-defining. He is, as theologians say, Ase. Now that's Latin, hardly helpful, but good for us to know. Ase, A-S-E, usually with a little line over it. In the English, it comes out as Aseity. Ase is the Latin word meaning for being, for existence itself. So we're going a few layers here, if you will, towards the very core of existence, not simply the usual things that we describe ourselves by on the surface. We can say, I am tall, I am brown-haired, I am male, I am whatever we may add there. These are those things about us that are visible and that are external and that are on the outside and very surface level. Any one of those things might be able to change and I still exist. God is not so much talking about what he does sometimes, not what he has said in other times. He's not saying what he is capable of doing or what he potentially could do or perform in front. He's getting right down. He's drilling a cord down into the very ground of philosophy here, we might say, or of existence itself, and saying, I am existent based on myself and nothing else. Theologians call this aseity. The being of God is self-being. It is self-sustaining. He is self-grounded. There is no other thing out there that exists on the same plane or in the same category as God. It is not as if we say there are these things that are created and contingent and mortal and breakable. You know, that's us. That's our houses. That's the Wivenhoe Dam. That's, whatever. That's Israel. That's Egypt. There's all these things that are created, contingent, obviously weak. But then there are these ultimate things. Angels, demons, heaven. No, they're all created. Put them back in our category. Oh, let's get even more philosophical. Let's peel back the layer even further. What's so ultimate, even God can't exist without it? Truth, logic, existence itself. No. Those are not things that come together to therefore make God. Those are not even things that God depends upon, for he is completely and utterly, absolutely independent. Rather, those things, existence, truth, logic, they find their own ground and being and existence in God himself. There is nothing more ultimate in being than God. And these are the kinds of depths that we get to when we understand what God is saying here in Exodus 3:14, that he is who he is. He is what he is. He is that ground of all being, independent from everything, and therefore everything is dependent upon him. Because there's no second ground of being, there's no other God. How often does God say this in the Bible? I am the only one. There is no other. There is no other God. I am the Lord your God is one, O Israel, he will say. There's only one ground of being, which means there's not God, the source of all good, and then yang, or the devil, or the great eternal dark forces of darkness, that in them, that in it is the ground of all evil and sin and demons. No, all things have ground and existence and being and origin in God. He is the only ultimate independent being. He is the only eternal being. He alone has aseity. He alone is independent, and therefore everything else depends entirely and absolutely upon him.